so, so much. I love you so, 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 so much. I love you so, 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 so much. I love you so, 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 so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. It is a terrific Tuesday here in the studio as I record. So happy to be back with you again. We are doing it. It's another day in paradise, floating in eternity. So happy to be with you guys, gals, extraterrestrials, animals. Maybe there's some animal kind. We're animal kind. Well, let's say like non-human kind. Perhaps there's like a really evolved gorilla out there who somehow found his way to a podcast app. If you're listening, hey, I love you too. So, whoever is out there, love you all. It's all me. It's all you. There's only one of us in the room. All right, today. So what am I going to do? Let's see. I've missed reading a little bit from Oneness. That was always a nice change up to have some epic channeled material, the Ascension Handbook, as I like to refer to it as. And it's been, a month plus maybe since we finished reading that. So I was thinking, what could I read that, doesn't require you to listen to it all at one time? And I thought back to one of the first books I bought when I had my own sort of awakening in the late 90s originally. And this book was called The Psychic Explorer. I have it here. It looks very tattered at this point. I've somehow managed to hang on to it through the years and lots of moves and whatnot. But it's all about astral projection and out-of-body experience. And I don't know anyone else who's really ever come across it. I've never heard of anyone else who's read it. But a guy named V. Van Dam wrote it originally, and it's all about his journeys in the astral realm. And I found it really fascinating when one of the first books I read that was, in this sort of very open-minded, outside of the box of what I was raised to believe, realm, if you will. And it is, it's really great. And I read from it, a while back, I don't know, a year, maybe more ago. I just read, because most of the book is his out of body experiences and what he experiences, on, the astral plane, and, super, super good. But at the end of the book, he actually, has some channelings, and I read Message from the Earth Spirit, a while back, because it was always, it always stuck out to me. I always remembered it as being just really profound and beautiful and poetic. And so anyway, I was thinking about that. I was like, well, these are pretty short and sweet. And at the end of it, there's like message from the stars, message from, the Earth Spirit, message from, different planetary bodies, like message from Saturn. So anyway, Today I decided I would read Message from the Sun. So should be good. It's been, I'm sure I read it, a decade plus ago or something like that. So I don't even really recall what's in it, but I know it's good. And so we're going to do that. But before we do, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. And you guys know I love my iTunes reviews. Not only do they help us to reach new people, but they certainly help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And of course, I think it's fun for you as the listeners to hear your review read on the show. So good across the board. And this one came in by S_Ocean, the best kind of brain food. Brandon and his team have done an excellent job producing consistent, high-quality content with the Positive Head podcast. Every single episode leaves me with uplifting, thought-provoking, and inspiring insights, often paired with at least one practice that I can take with me and put into action. At a time when my soul was craving deeper and more meaningful discussion, this podcast has provided the absolute best kind of brain food. One of the first episodes I listened to spoke about playing with energy, such as by projecting love onto the barista at a coffee shop. I immediately put this into action with someone I recently met who I've been in close contact with for a job. This person had been troublesome from the start, and others nearby were constantly complaining about him. I started pouring love into him whenever he was nearby, recognizing him as essentially an extension of myself in another human body. Fast forward 2 weeks, and the general perspective of this person and his involvement in the team has completely transformed. I've heard comments such as, "Wow, he's in such a good mood these days, and I guess he's not as bad as he used to be." It's been wonderful to witness this transformation, and it has motivated me to continue radiating love and light to all beings, even those who might annoy me or frustrate me. Sometimes they are the ones who need it most. Thank you, Brandon and team, for all that you do. I am forever a fan of this podcast, and I look forward to listening to many, many more episodes. I love you all so much. Oh, what a wonderful review and story to share. Isn't that so empowering? And this person is referring to episode 772 with my good friend Charles Clay. And he was talking about, sending love to people in the coffee shop, and just like not saying it verbally, but sending it energetically and through the heart, through the mind, through the eyes, through every ounce of their vibration and his energy. And so what a powerful tool and way to gamify your own awakening process as you flex your muscles of manifestation. I love this because it's not a game that sort of puts you on the spot where you've got to do something dramatic. It's like all happening within you, right? And you are the one who gets to play and see the reaction and the perspective, how you shift things. And I guarantee you, if you do it just like this person wrote in, like, what's happened here? Like, this person completely transformed. So who moved is the question, right? Well, what I would say is the person who wrote the review, who is doing this exercise, working out their manifestation muscles, if you will. They're actually, as they resonate with seeing this greater and greater version, this more loving version of this person, they're literally stepping into timelines, alternate timelines, where that version of this prop in their movie exists. This person out there, as they so eloquently put it, this is just an extension of me. This is another me in another body. And I want to give energy, focus on what I want to see more of out of that person. And so literally they're stepping into other realities where that person, that mirror, that prop shows up in a different way. And we all have the power to do this. This is just absolutely incredible. This is how powerful you are. And so, gosh, I love this review. I love this story. Thank you so much for writing in and sharing. I want to hear more of these stories. Let's all make this like the P-Head Posse game, right? This is such a great idea by Charles. Like, today, if you're hearing this, take this as inspiration to create someone differently in your world. Just, whoever it is, could be a stranger as the example that Charles gave. But in this case, it was, a troubled coworker, right? That's even more powerful because you keep interacting with that person. So you get to see the results of your love that love is the answer to every question. It transforms everything. If you're pouring love into anyone or anything, it cannot help but to be affected. That is your most powerful, weapon for good, right? That you can constantly use in your life. And I guess weapon really isn't even a good word, right? Tool. It's a tool that you can use. And I want to hear more of these stories. So putting that out there, let me know. Give me some feedback. You can write in also questions. That makes me think. Brandon@positivehead.com with your stories. Or, of course, reviewing on iTunes is great. Joining us on the Facebook group, Positive Heads with an S. Great place to connect with over 6,000 as of the time of this recording. Other listeners. And definitely a wonderful place to share your stories as well. So, all right. Well, what a cool way to start. Let's jump into a message from the sun. This is from V. Van Dam's little-known book, I believe, The Psychic Explorer. And let's see what the sun has to say, shall we? By the way, just to throw out there, I always say about channeled material, and I've, the book Oneness that I read was, channeled, received and transcribed information by Rasha. And I always say about these sort of things, or I play Abraham clips, who's supposedly, a non-physical entity communicating through Esther Hicks, one of my very favorite teachers. I really am, so open to this idea. I don't really care whether it is or isn't happening as much as I care about the content of the information. And what I find really interesting about a lot of supposedly channel material is how inspired and powerful and beautifully written it is. It's like, whoa, okay, this person is claiming to channel this, something else is coming through them, and they just so happen to be a genius because this information is genius. So to me, that is a strong indicator that something real is happening like they claim. But at the end of the day, it's not any weirder to me if some other energy is coming through their physical form and communicating than whatever the energy that is there is the person I call that individual is there, right? How weird is it that we're here at all? Any of us. All right, this is Message from the Sun, as transcribed by V. Van Dam in the book Psychic Explorer. Here we go. The sun, which I am, is the host star for this system. It is my second incarnation into the truly material zones. What you see of me in the sky is only a fraction of what I am. What you see is only the equivalent of my dense physical body. My true being extends throughout the whole system. As a being, you cannot comprehend me until I manifest through you, and you through me, at the conscious level. Until then, all you can know of me is a few bits and pieces, which do not amount to much at all. My position is not great amongst stars, seeing that I am only a relatively small star in a universe which includes stars of such magnitude that I am almost as nothing to these. I belong to a group of stars, of which Sirius, in some ways, forms a nucleus for those of our direct family. There are traditionally 7 stars to this group. That is to say, there are 7 main stars, and then there are plenty of others. I have my place in this family, and I have my purpose on behalf of the needs of the whole group. In much the same way that you form groups which can be called countries, stars form groups which are as worlds within worlds. What you are learning to do on your lower levels corresponds to what we do on much higher planes. We have our society or societies, our system of government, our mystical foci, our distribution networks, our arts and sciences, plenty of ideas, and our sense of magic, and much besides. Each system has its own integrity, and yet each system is only a part of a much greater system, which in turn is part of a huge conglomeration of systems, all interlinked through the web of life. This means that we have also higher societies and higher systems of government, yet all interrelated. This is what is offered to you at this time, an entrance to these higher societies to which you inherently belong, if you would but realize this. My system is undergoing many changes, and along with this process, so is the Earth changing as well. From a small planet which has been both the curiosity and the bane of my manifestation for many eons, it is now to become a focus of true light in its own right, and thus become as a star, a part of my system of stars, for each planet is a star. I am the sun, and yet from another point of view I am only a fragment of a greater being. This you would always do well to keep in mind. As my system changes, and you change with it, then the overall accomplishments which I am able to bring to bear throughout my system speak of possibilities which have only existed in potential form for me for as long as I have lived. Now, in the near future, near as I would see it anyway, I will go towards the innermost one, free of the contradictions of my own expression, for my system has been held back somewhat by the affairs of the earth. It is the one planet which has dragged its heels on the cosmic way and, until now, has refused to see the higher light. Now the darkness will be dispelled for a time so that the light can be itself within my entirety. Things exist between two extremes, at the lower levels, between fire and ice, or heat and cold. You will notice that at 0 degrees Kelvin, to use your terminology, matter disintegrates, as it does at very high fusion temperatures. Thus, in a sense, hot and cold are one and the same, two faces of the same manifestation. There is no good and bad, there is no black and white or heat and cold, except in the illusionary states of the lower manifestation. There are only consequences, and this, my friends, have a lot to do with what the earth and myself are about. And it is also the reason the earth is last and yet, in a sense, first in the system. We, the earth and myself, and by extension the whole of my system, are cultivating the principle of pure fusion. This is the highest hint I have ever given anyone on earth with regard to what my true purpose is. Therefore, you will find that your doings over the next few years will have a lot to do with the principle of fusion. Your technologies will evolve ways of maintaining stable fusionic reactions, as distinct from fission-type reactions, and your world will have a new form of generating the energies it needs, not only electricity for the convenience of your material living. Your world will be so electrified in a few years' time that you will notice this as something of a revelation. Life is electricity. Every single microatomic form is in fact held together by and is a manifestation of a certain form of electricity. This is the reality of energy. Therefore, corresponding to your use of material electricity will be various forms of higher electricities which will activate your aspirations and development. This is already happening now, and yet what is occurring on this day is as nothing compared with what will be happening in a few years' time. I'm going to stop there real quick. This was written in 89, and I think about the changes that have happened since 89. It's like very, very, very dramatic, right? As far as technology, use of power, electricity, computers. I mean, the personal computer internet wasn't even a thing in 89. Can you imagine? So anyway, continuing. You do not yet realize fully just how much your society and its form are going to change. It is a change as radical as that of the Middle Ages compared with your present society and technology, except more so, for now you will taste of dimensions which have been closed to most of you during incarnational periods. The veil will now lift and reveal much which will astound you in every theater of expression and cognition. Your sciences will come upon discoveries which are so bright and new to you, and they will revolutionize everything for you. And I speak not of what you would call sciences alone. I speak of art. I speak of life. I speak of magic. I speak of even of religion and government. All these, in a sense, are sciences. Your societies of the 1990s will be the precursor to that of the next century, which will be like a new race, a new beginning, a new development, and a new realization that all life is interrelated through you and through all the ones which surround you. That's just to stop there. That's really when that realization started happening in me in the 90s, as I just said. And certainly that has been on an exponential growth trajectory. I've noticed, I started out kind of tapping into a lot of this information, and there's no one around. Some books out there like this one, other books and things, but no one in my life that was into this or awake to this or aware of this. Now, look, I have all of you. I have so many friends that are like completely awake and aware. So the predictions of this definitely seems spot on as I read this. Pretty cool. As you begin to expand into my system, you will find many of the links which will permit you to understand exactly what you are and what your own role is within the system. As you unite in consciousness with my system and all its planets, then you will be allowed to travel beyond my name, if such is the way that this must be expressed. I have not one name but many, and yet all these names are but configurations of energy. These, my signatures, are what you must discover as to progress as a mass to areas outside of my system. You can experience me since you are a part of me. You can elevate your consciousness to a level which you will experience as my home. And yet this is only one of many homes. You can learn to reach me at different addresses. I will now give you some relatively important pointers with regards to all the different parts of myself at the planetary level. Vulcan is my jewel of flames. It is close to me, internally and externally. The reason you cannot see it properly is because I hide it from your view within my mantle of fire. This is why your esoteric myths about Vulcan have represented its position as always behind the sun. It is simply so small and so close to my fire that you cannot appreciate that it is there before your eyes. Vulcan is responsible for energizing my system in ways which as yet you cannot conceive of. Okay, so I guess that's a small planet that the sun is referring to as being closer than Mercury, which is next. Very interesting. Mercury is my first communicator. She dances a form of expression which gives interactive links to the whole system. She influences your minds with ideas, and those ideas become as realities to you. Your sense of probing into the mysteries comes from this source. Venus is my special one. A rare and beautiful planet of fire and blissful energies. And it always says she, like S/HE. So like she. She is the artist of my system, and it is she who designs the future of my expression. Earth is my temperamental one, who is like a blessed child who refuses to acknowledge my higher reality. It is a game with a purpose, although much which has happened for you need not have been as acute and as stringent as it has been. The Earth is my surrogate adjuster, who one day will lead the system into new heights. Mars is my activator. She gives me a responsive spark with which I can implement certain destinies. She is the means through which I activate the lower desire for truth, which might seem ambiguous. In the lower nature, there is always that which attempts to emulate the higher, and it is this mystery which Mars harbors deep within her breast. The planetoids or asteroids, a former planet which is now disintegrated into several smaller fractions, active but with no strong principle to maintain their expression and coherency. It is nevertheless on these planetoids that certain clues with regard to the mystery of the Earth will be found. Interesting because we've started just recently. Have you guys seen this where they have sent us pictures or video from landing on an asteroid, which is really interesting. So we're just starting to probe them and get feedback and everything. I literally, within the last few days, someone showed me some pictures for the first time. Pretty interesting synchronicity, huh? So, yeah, I guess we're going to get information from there, it sounds like. Jupiter, my second largest planet, is the one who enlarges what is already growing. She is the nourisher of those who have already eaten. It has been said and otherwise conveyed that Jupiter is to ignite and become the second nuclear fusion star within my system. This is not entirely correct. She will, it is true, become a nuclear fusion star, and yet she will remain a planet in my system. Other planets in time will also become as stars, and in other ways they are already stars. Saturn is the one who holds my system in balance. Aside from what you may find elsewhere said, Saturn is also the repository of all the divine secrets. Chiron is not so much the healer, as some of you tend to think of her, as she is the implementer of destinies. She is a test to any given evolution which has reached a certain height. She places you against the wall of your own uncertainties in order to force you to let go within yourselves so that you may discover a higher truth. Then she reveals ways of accessing your immediate future. Uranus is my great radiating fire friend who tailors the expression of energies within my system. It is she who makes the path clear for all others to tread. She is the great and analytical mind with a sense of the unity who brings in much which is new to the system at any one time. Before we continue on with today's episode, for those of you interested in getting more fantastic fungi in your life, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about a friend of mine's brand new company, The Great Mother. Recently, I have been drinking The Great Mother's superfood mushroom coffee alternative called Ritual, as well as regularly taking their awesome Ally microdoses, and I am truly loving both. As you probably know, these days, many of the world's highest achievers and performers swear by microdosing. The problem is it can still be difficult to get a hold of magic mushrooms. That's why when my friend reached out, who lives in an area and country where legalization is not a problem like it was in the past, and said he'd be willing to offer microdoses to my listeners, I wanted to pass the word along. Ally microdoses are 100% organic. And in addition to a small amount of the magic active ingredient, they also contain functional mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, and other brain boosters like bacopa. Ally is essentially a full spectrum nootropic. And of course, the coffee alternative Ritual doesn't contain magic mushrooms, but it has an array of the best organic functional mushrooms in the world. And, with functional mushrooms, it's really important to get them from the highest integrity sources. And whereas some other highly popular mushroom coffee alternatives on the market only contain a few varieties of functional mushrooms in their actual ingredients, Ritual has 7. Not only does it contain more types, it also contains 3 to 4 times the amount that the big brands have in each serving. And it tastes amazing. I actually like to have it on its own, as well as mixing it into my coffee sometimes as well. However, since this is definitely a unique offering, there are a few steps. First, just reach out and request to follow the private page, thegreat.mother on Instagram. Once you've been accepted to follow, just message what you're interested in getting and someone will get back to you. Neptune is my great dreamer, she who holds the key to the innermost dreams of the Ancient One. All intuitions emanate in essence from Neptune, for intuitions are the higher dreams of goddesses. She embodies the aspect of pure vision. Pluto is the one who reveals the destiny ahead and the master of death. Her accompanying moon, Chiron, has thus been well named. Pluto and Chiron are responsible for transforming the waste within the system into new energies which can be circulated again. Much to do with the mythical image of the phoenix has to do with Pluto and Chiron. The phoenix is the bird of prey which has lost its appetite for war and destruction and is born anew in every age. Queel, Kwiel, is the forbidden one, who is so potent that none can touch her without being transformed into something totally different from what they were. Queel is very much coming into your lives at present. As it has been mentioned elsewhere, Queel is in the constellation of Virgo at this time, and much of significance can be derived from this fact. If you read between the lines of these descriptions, you will find many clues as to the integrity and sequence of events within my system. Each planetary being has its task and particular role to play, and some of these planets form special relationships at different times. A fuller understanding of this will lead you to a superior perception of true planetary astrology, and then lead you to a greater perception of how certain of these planets have special relationships with certain stars, rather than with certain constellations. There are other planetary beings which for the moment must remain undisclosed, which nevertheless play a vital role even now and influence you in ways which you have yet to perceive. To see me as I am requires a pure vision of power, and you can only see in this way when you have purified your beings to the extent that there is no resistance left to the force which circulates within my being. When you blend in with what I am, consciously and with your higher attention fully alert, then you will see me as the one who liberates the form for the sake of new spiritual journeys. This is carefully worded so that you might guess at what I am and at what my role is within the family of stars to which I belong. It is also a reason why so many others from elsewhere come here, since they can find certain answers to their own evolutions by involving themselves within my system. Forms and formlessness are two sides of the wonder of life. The one cannot exist without the other. Even the higher states, which seem so abstract to you now, have their forms. Not forms as you know them, but subtle fire forms, which span in different ways. What is truly formless underlines all forms, and in this is given the ultimate secret of existence as far as manifestation is concerned. You have so much to learn, for whatever is said here can only be thought of as an introduction to the higher mysteries. It is by way of clearing the ground before you that these transmissions have been considered and given out, so that you might understand what is to happen to your world within the next few years. Others are active in bringing you these same realizations in different ways, and you will find that all the points of view which you are being offered amount to a kaleidoscope of visions which have a central innermost vision. The revelation which was promised to you some many years ago at the beginning of the outgoing age. It remains to be said that the new is always preceded by visions and dreams which make a whole new panorama perceptible. As you consciously endorse these visions, so will you find new gates into the beyond. If you could but open your eyes a little more, you would be amazed at what can be seen. This is what I offer you, if you would but reach out and take it. Each one of you, when awake, is my warrior. If you open yourself up to the reality of the whole system, I will show you what I mean when I say that the Earth and the solar system are new leaders in a new way. Not leaders as you think of these, but leaders of the moment, a particular key which represents a certain approach. Each system has a key, and each key is a functional unit within a greater system. The solar key has its part to play in a much higher drama of evolution. For it is here, within this solar system, that a certain spark was lowered. It is this spark which, upon achieving the required maturity, will lead the warriors of the stars into new fields of response. It is difficult to mold cosmic ideas into such a restricted language as yours. Therefore, everything which is said here must be seen with the intuitive powers which you are beginning to unfold. I cannot tell you everything which might evoke a better understanding yet, for you have not the experience with which you could make the conscious leap into the area I would show you. You can see my power, albeit just my material self, within the sky. However, what is my true power? What does it represent in terms of consciousness? What is my allegiance to the other stars within the group to which I belong? To whom do we respond as a collective unit? We are all followers of life, knowing full well that we are a part of that life. We follow the inner one on her journey through the eternal heights. All that is required of us is that we develop new evolutions which can take on new challenges within those heights. To say that the Earth and the solar system will be as leaders of the moment is another way of saying that what has been developed within this system will be instrumental in opening up a new door through which other evolutions will pass, along with our own. Other evolutions will also open doors for us, and it is this group allegiance which is at the back of all group evolutionary efforts. This speaks of an obligation of the spirit. We facilitate the way for each other. We go much further together than we could alone. Groups is the key word for the new age. It is groups which will permit humanity to become more than what it is at present. It is as groups that you are evolving spiritually at this time, even if you are not in direct physical contact with those who form your own particular group. Some are incarnate and some not. Your groups consist of human units and of divas and of other beings which we cannot give you a name. This would involve a greater picture. Those of you who are in physical contact with each other can see the pattern of development inherent to the group which you form. Each individual within that group is unfolding a particular strength, and these strengths are gained in various ways, and each individual has a unique strength. Each has an effect on the others. When each one of you contributes to the experience of the whole group, it opens doors for the others. At your human diva level, you are doing what we do as stars and as systems. One day you will, as a group, become a system. By saying this much, I have opened the way for you to understand systems and something of their dynamics. My words should be taken both lightly and seriously. The lightness should be a gentle love, and the seriousness should be your alertness. Without alertness, the power will never let you pass. Without love, you will never know the whole. That's the end of the message from the sun. And I love how it ended, talking about how we evolve in groups. And we're definitely doing that here, right? This little group, as it continues to grow and organize itself and connections are being made. I love seeing in the Positive Heads Facebook group all the friendships and connections and real world, collaborations that are happening, podcasts and websites and things are popping up like from those of you coming together. And it's just like, it's the most joyous thing for me to see, to have facilitated in any way, shape, or form, to have played a small role. I couldn't be more grateful to be in this group with each and every one of you. And just thank you for being. That was so inspiring. Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I'm sure we'll all be hearing little winks from the universe today, from the sun. Things will probably pop up for you from the sun related. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. All right, here we grow. Again, I have a song, actually the same song twice for you today. I instantly thought, what's a good sun song that I have the licensing rights to? And turns out I have one of my favorite artists, Ayla Nerio. You guys hear me play pretty regularly, has a beautiful song called Eastern Sun. But then also Ataya, who I really like, did a remix of the song. And I'm sitting here listening to both, like, which one should I play? I like them both. They're, different vibes with Ataya's, Ataya thrown into the mix. Definitely gives it a different feel. They're both beautiful. So guess what? This is my show. I can play them both if I want to. And I know you won't mind because they're both amazing. So this is Ayla Nerio, Eastern Sun, and then followed by Ayla Nerio, Eastern Sun, the Ataya remix. Both are beautiful. You are beautiful. Till next time, journey well. Love you all so, so much.
Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again.